What's up, you amazing people? I hope you're having a fantastic day. You are, of course, watching and listening to the Daily Dirty 30, also known as the DDT, here on The Kevin Lee Show. And I am your host, Kevin Lee. Now, for those of you who do not know what the DDT is all about, let me take a moment to explain. You see, it's a show that airs live at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and it's where I get to spend 30 minutes telling you, the viewer, all about the things that bother me today. What do I get out of it? It's easy. It's therapeutic. Why should you tune in? That's even easier. It's entertaining. Sound like a fair trade? Good. Let's get to it. Hello, friends, and welcome to yet another episode of the Daily Dirty 30, also known as the DDT, or the DDT, also known as the Daily Dirty 30, a show that airs here every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, or somewhere around that vicinity. So I just want to do a quick reminder while I'm thinking about it. If you do not mind, we're actually just going to hop over here because normally every Monday, sometimes I used to do it Monday and Friday, but I think I'm just going to do it Mondays. Typically, I will remind everyone about our website, which is, of course, kevinleeshow.com. That's the kevinleeshow.com. The reason why I like, I'm losing my voice. The reason why I like mentioning this to people is because it is the hub, the central hub, if you will, of all things related to the Kevin Lee Show. May it be our Daily Dirty 30 show, our Whatever with Kevin show, the Libertarian Hour, talking sports, talking politics, whichever podcast we're talking about, you will find it here. On here on top of the page, you'll see listings of all the podcasts, links to go to the live stream, ways to support us and reach out to us and contact us, as well as on here you will see that there are places for you to actually listen to the most recent episodes of all our top podcasts, as well as watch them. So yeah, it's actually kind of important as far as I'm concerned that you guys go check out thekevinleeshow.com. On here, it's also, if you notice on the top of the page, as well as on the bottom of the page, you will find links to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and pretty much anything and everything you would ever want to know about our little show. But again, I want to personally welcome you to thekevinleeshow.com. I mean, the Daily Dirty 30. So I've talked about so much, I'm forgetting what I'm doing. But yes, I am your host, and today we are going to talk about a number of things. But first part, and most important, we're going to talk about just because people are crazy around you, it doesn't mean that you have to reciprocate. What I mean by that is that there are people around you who are acting crazy right now, wherever you go. I don't care if you're at work, at home, out with the neighbors, at a store. There are always people acting crazy. And that doesn't mean you have to do the same. I know this should be pretty simple and I shouldn't have to spell this out for everyone, but apparently I do. It's kind of like this mob mentality. It's like, let's flash back to when you were a child. I mean, heck, you might still be kind of a child, but I'm saying when you were actually a child and you lived in mom and dad's house or mom's house or dad's house or wherever you grew up in, grandpa's house, maybe, who knows? Maybe an aunt and uncle's, maybe a foster home. I don't know. But wherever you grew up, you probably heard the rule, just because your friend wants to, jump off a bridge doesn't mean you need to do the same, right? Or if they did this, would you do it? Your parents or your guardians are always trying to get you to admit that, oh, just because someone else doesn't mean I should. But for some reason, over the last 6 months, people have forgotten that lesson. How, why, I do not know. But it's true. People are acting like if my friend does it, if the people who think the same as me does it, if the celebrity I follow on whatever social media says it or does it, I need to do the same. And it's really ridiculous. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. If someone wants to go out and act a certain way publicly, some celebrity or well-known person or politician or whatever, then that's their decision. But just because they do it does not mean that you need to do it as well. So yeah, that's a thing. And I wish I could give you an example, but honestly, I could probably give you dozens of examples. So for some reason, my allergies are terrible or whatever this is, and I'm losing my voice again, as I was doing last week. But yet this week is early, so I don't want to lose my voice. I still have at least 4 more shows to do this week. So, well, 2 here. One I'm talking sports with Kevin and Mikey, and then of course the Libertarian Hour. So hopefully I do not lose my voice, because that would be a travesty considering I'm pretty much doing a podcast, which is mostly me talking. But yes, people around everywhere are losing their minds. I mean, you see video after video of people who would probably normally be somewhat reserved going up to strangers and yelling and screaming at them just because they feel like they can. Now, I don't know why people all of a sudden right now feel like they have, carte blanche to be able to speak or act any way they want without repercussion. I don't get it, but it's there. It's all over the place. Sadly, I mean, it really, really is all over the place. And I don't want to make it seem like the world's coming to an end. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is people are acting like they have the right, not just the ability, but the right or the privilege to do so. And I have no idea where this ideal came from, right? I mean, maybe some people have been acting a bit crazy and they figured, well, hey, if they can do it, I'm going to do it. And once they didn't realize that no one was going to get back, or there wasn't going to be any pushback, or they weren't going to be penalized for acting or saying things the way that they were, maybe they realized, hey, I can do this. And the more they do it, the more confident they become, and the continues on and so forth. So yeah, that definitely could be part of it, I think. But I mean, maybe it's just like, it was kind of like a domino effect. One person did it, someone else saw it, so they did it, and another person saw it, they did it, so they did it, and another person saw it, that person did it, so they did it. And then people said, well, this whole group of people are doing it, so our whole group will do it. And the people say, well, if the whole group can do it, then we all can do it. And it's just been ridiculous. And sometimes it's little things, right? And sometimes it's big things. And I have no idea what instigated this. And I honestly can't remember where it was at, so I apologize. But I wasn't going to talk about this, but it just popped in my head. There was an incident, I think it was over the weekend, maybe it was like on Saturday, maybe even Friday, I don't even know, of some protests going on. And I think there was a news crew out covering it. And for some reason, a protester or counter-protest, I don't even know who it was, because I didn't have many details at the time when I was looking into it, because again, I was kind of disconnecting, but I did catch this blurb. That there was someone who was spraying mace or something, or pepper spray or something, towards the direction of, I don't know if it was a news crew or the guy who was hired to protect the news crew, but all of a sudden the guy pulled out a gun and then shot and killed the guy right there in the middle of the day. That's crazy. It doesn't make sense that someone feels like, that they should just pull out a can of whatever it was. Again, if it was some type of spray or pepper spray or bear spray or mace or what it was. It looked like purple smoke. So I don't know if it just was just a cheap form of some type of whatever it was, or if it was just that's the way it was designed to be used. I don't know, but apparently it wasn't uber threatening, but it was weird that the guy pulled it out and started spraying and said some strange guy. And the guy had a gun, and I don't know if the guy who was spraying didn't see that the guy had the gun or just didn't care, if he wouldn't do anything with it. And sure enough, guy pulled the trigger and killed the other guys right there. It all happened in seconds. And no one seems to care. No one seems to think that's a big deal. I know it's 2020. I get that. I appreciate that. I'm not trying to make light of the fact that this year hasn't been absolutely horrible, because it has been. But we shouldn't be so desensitized to the point already that someone getting shot in the middle of the day for doing something kind of stupid or kind of asinine by another person, it just doesn't give you right to execute them, right? I mean, I think you only shot him once, from what I understand. Again, I think there's video, but I don't watch that kind of stuff. I don't know if you do. If you do, so be it. Not judging you. But I just feel like I mean, personally, for me, I don't like watching that sort of stuff. I have experienced so much bad stuff in my life. I'd seen so much bad stuff. I'd seen the results of so much bad stuff. I don't need to see anything. If I know it happened, I know it happened. If I see a picture leading up to it, I can easily put together what happened. Not a big deal. For me. So, but and if you feel like you have to watch it, or you want to watch it, or you're intrigued to watch it or something, then so be it. That's good for you. But not for me. But yeah, so this world, and the thing is too, it's yes, I'm an American, true, but doesn't just happen in America. It's happening all over the place. I mean, probably more so in America, just because we got to do everything bigger. You know, if one country's having a riot, then we're going to have a riot 10 times the size. So, yeah, what are you going to do? And there's so many other things I could be talking about right now. I could be talking about everything going on with the election and with Biden and Trump and Harris and Pence and all the nonsense everyone's been speaking and all the omitting everyone's been doing on both sides or on any of that crap. I don't even need to do that because guess what? I already know that if you're voting for Biden, if you're planning on voting for Biden right now, you're going to vote for Biden. Or if you're planning on voting for Trump right now, you're going to vote for Trump. There are very few people who are undecided. I mean, I could probably, the percentage wise, you could probably count on one hand, right? And that's actually probably still going to be the percentage that's going to matter the most. You know what I'm saying? Because that's going to be the percentage that are the people who are going to potentially swing the swing states. And again, like we've talked about this before, there are so many swing states this year. Normally it's 2, maybe 3. And technically, as best as I can put it, there's got to be like 8, 9, 10 states that are completely up for grabs, that are not normally up for grabs. But yeah, I mean, I think even, what was it? Virginia was kind of up for grab. Pennsylvania is definitely up for grab. Ohio's up for grab. Michigan, Wisconsin. There's some argument about Minnesota. I'm not sure about that. Florida's definitely up for grab. Arizona's up for grab. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised to find out if Texas was up for grab. And everyone's like, oh my God, Texas is like the most red Republican. No, it's not. The thing is, a lot of people wanted to get out of their home states because they were destroyed, like Illinois, like California, like New York. So they wanted to reset up their lives in an area that was more economic friendly, right, for business owners or what have you, or retirees. So they moved to Texas, and they brought all their ideals with them. And it's slowly gone from red to, some offshoot of red to a point where it's been purple the last couple of elections. And it wouldn't be surprising if it went blue, at least for this election. Well, I mean, I guess I would be a little surprised, but I wouldn't be shocked. Let's put it that way. But I would definitely be surprised if they went all the way blue. But yeah, it's been a crazy time lately, and people are acting crazy. So, moral of the story is stop acting crazy. Next up, we're going to talk about, are they really going to play an NFL game on Tuesday? Well, it says on Tuesday, but it's tonight. Yes, they actually are. And it's probably on right now. I'm not checking. I think it was oh my goodness, it was Titans and Buffalo, maybe? I can't remember. But everything's been so screwy with the NFL. And it's not like I want to take a long time out to talk about the NFL, because I don't, but it's like, I mean, I know COVID is crazy. The coronavirus is crazy. Our response to this is crazy. But it's like, one person gets sick and all of a sudden it's 3 people get sick. And if 3 people get sick, then they delay it. But how long do they delay it for? It can't do it a day or two. It's not going to make a difference. And then if they do it a week or two, and they start switching games around, canceling games. I mean, because every game in NFL matters, right? Like, you only have 16 games in a season. So if you didn't play 2 games, that would be huge, right? Might change the entire outcome of your season for that team, right? So, but then again, they only have a certain amount of days a week. Typically, they have Sundays, and then usually a Monday night game, and then a Thursday night game. Well, now they're having to play around with schedules. They had a game that was supposed to be this week, that's now going to be, like, I think a weekend, like 2 weeks from now. Basically, they've already moved that up. I don't know if both teams had a bye or something. That's why they did, and they're going to play it then. I don't know. Again, they're going to have a game on Tuesday, which is just weird, right? So this is, I understand these are exceptional times, so there's going to be exceptional decisions made when it comes to protection of fans, protection of players, protection of people involved on a team who aren't a player or a coach. I mean, most people don't realize, like, outside of the head coach and like the 2 coordinators, some teams have 3 or 4 coaches. Some teams have like 15 coaches, and then you've got like 6 trainers, and then you've got equipment specialists and everyone else. And people have to be there on the sidelines, right? And they have to be there for practice, and they have to be there in the locker rooms. And there's a lot of reason to be concerned for a number of people. And then not only that, those people go home, right? They travel from city to city. They come home. They go to their families. They deal with their neighbors. They go to stores. So all of a sudden, if someone on a team or two people or three people test positive for COVID-19, well, all of a sudden, that's not one or two or three players, right? That's probably dozens of people, if not more. And those dozens of people might spread it to dozens more, which all of a sudden, one, two, three people becomes 100 people. And those 100 people spread it to 200 people. See how it works? It doesn't take long. And the thing is, too, especially because this is a novel virus. We do not know very much about it. We're still trying to decide how it gets transmitted. Is it airborne? Is it not? Now, I know the CDC just came out and said that it was, but there are many scientists around the world who say it's not, and that it's simply droplet transmission only. Because again, if it's airborne, you will get it this year. There's no doubt about it. I don't care where you're at in the world, you're getting it, because there's no way to avoid it. Airborne is not like a droplet transmission. Droplet transmission, again, I don't want to get into some huge technical discussion, but droplet transmission literally is what it sounds like. Droplets have to be expelled and then enter into your body one way, shape, or form or another. They don't live on surfaces very long or anything along those lines. It's got to be pretty close, right? It's got to be contact. Airborne is completely different. If you have an airborne virus, right, and you're wearing a mask and someone else is wearing a mask and they have it and they cough or clear their throat, guess what? You now have it, because masks will not help you at all. Not 1%, 0%. Okay. Droplet transmission, they'll help a little bit. They'll help about 60, 70, 75%, maybe even 80%. But airborne? Nope. And for people who do not want to believe that, do a simple test, right? I don't know if you smoke, say you smoke, or say you know someone who smokes, right? Put on a mask, go outside, and when someone blows, well, say it's your husband or wife and they're not sick, right? Don't do it with some stranger, who can get you sick, but just say someone who isn't sick, someone you're close to, again, a spouse, whoever. Or if you smoke yourself, light a cigarette, and then through the mask, try to inhale. You'll have no problem. You'll have no trouble inhaling. It doesn't make a difference if it's a surgical mask. It doesn't matter if it's what kind of mask it is. You know why? Because smoke particles will travel through those type of masks. It's just the way it works. Well, guess what? The coronavirus is at minimum 100 times smaller than smoke particles. So they can travel through both ways of a mask like that. So if that's the case, we're all totally getting it now. And maybe we do, right? Maybe that's the case. I mean, people are still obviously taking precautions. They're keeping distances. They're trying to stay healthy. They're not taking, extra, or they are taking extra precautions by not necessarily going out or going to the same places that they normally would had there not been a COVID-19. So, it exists, right? But the way that it's affecting the NFL is bizarre, to say the least. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't play this year. I enjoy football, so I'm glad they are playing. And surprise, surprise, my Bears, and I have no idea how this is, are 4-1, right? And everyone's like, well, they're not as good as the Packers. I couldn't agree more. They're not. And right now, as far as I'm concerned, they're not competing with the Green Bay Packers. They're just competing with themselves just to try to win every week. Just this last week, on Thursday when they played, they were down 13-0 with, I think, 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes to go in the half, and somehow had the lead 14-13 going into half, right? Then at the end of the game, they took the lead, and they could have wasted almost the entire clock and didn't, and gave Tom Brady a minute and a half, and they were still able to stop him somehow, and they won by 1 point. Like, I don't know how they're winning. Okay, there was a phrase back for one of my favorite teams back in the 80s, in 83, I believe it was, for the Chicago White Sox it was called the winning ugly season, because they won, but it was always ugly. That's how the Bears are. They're winning ugly, 100%. So I'm happy they're playing. All right. I mean, I have no false idea that the Bears are gonna go undefeated the rest of the season and sweep the playoffs and go and win the Super Bowl. Not that it couldn't happen. I'm just not living with that outlook necessarily. But I do want to see them win, and just as importantly, I want to see them play well. And I want to see them play, I guess, is probably the most important part. But, as anyone else, I want to see them do it safely. So that being said, it's crazy. We have games all over the place now. They're delaying games, rescheduling games, playing them on days off when people wouldn't normally be playing. It's a crazy time. But again, I guess I'm just glad to say that they are playing. So that is probably the most important aspect of it. I keep losing my voice, and I'm sorry. Now, our final topic we're going to talk about before our happy ending is, are you upset that the second presidential debate got canceled? Normally, I would say that I am, but right now, not so much. And this kind of ties into the last point, because saying how crazy things are in the NFL is getting canceled, or the games are getting canceled in the NFL, and people are getting sick. Same thing's going to happen here, right? Obviously, Trump was never going to go for the virtual debate, and for good reason. It's a stupid thing to do. Like, the whole point of a debate is to have you and your opponent standing basically right there next to each other, looking at each other, and having a conversation and debating, right? Disagreeing, interjecting, talking over. That's the entire point of a debate. If they had this virtual debate, you know that they would be shutting up Trump every single time he opened his mouth. And that is completely ridiculous. Now, again, he was a bit of an ass, or definitely an ass, during the first debate. And it's one thing to interject. It's one thing to speak over occasionally of your opponent, as you even saw done in the event in the Pence-Harris debate. But it was done in a reasonable amount during that debate, and that's how it should be. Trump was being an ass, right? And he did it way too often, way too much. And really, it screwed him in the end. And I don't know if people even realize this. I hope he does. Not that I'm rooting for the guy, but just you want to see people do what they're supposed to do. And when it came to Trump, had he just kept his mouth shut and let Biden ramble on for a minute and a half or 2 minutes trying to make an important point, he probably would have screwed it up, right? He would have lost track. He would have gone off topic. He would get confused, and he would have exposed himself for being who he was. But because he couldn't speak 10 seconds without being interrupted, Trump did everything he possibly could to make it easier on Biden, right? So, am I upset that this debate got canceled? No. Simply because it would not have been good. No one would have been happy with the results. And it's just sad, really. But this is the kind of the world that at least America has turned into. Like, it should not be this way at all. I mean, it shouldn't be. But yet, once again, here we are. And then again, it's sad, but here we are. A presidential debate should be something where, because it's never going, okay, people need to understand this too. When it comes to debate, any debate, that debate will not be for 80% of the voters. Truly. Right? We're pretty much split down the middle, left and right. And it doesn't make a difference if you're voting for a governor, a president, a senator, whatever it is. If two people debate, about half the people are voting for one side and half the people are voting for the other side. And then you have the remainder 10, 20% who are open. Those are the ones you really, truly want to win over. Now, there's nothing wrong with solidifying your base and making them happy by saying a couple of comments. That's part of a good debater. But you spend the rest of the time trying to win over just a fraction of those independents, those undecided, those people like me who are, libertarian in theory, but not necessarily in practice, right? Like, and that's something else a lot of people get upset about. I've noticed in the libertarian movement is that if you consider yourself to be libertarian, they're like, well, you vote libertarian, right? And I'd be like, well, maybe. And people get very upset. And they say, well, why aren't you voting libertarian? I said, well, if the libertarian deserves my vote, then I will vote for them. If I like what they have to say, or I like them better than whoever else is running, then I will vote for them. But if I don't, I don't. And some people are like, well, you have to vote. No, I don't have to do anything. That's the beautiful part of being a libertarian. I don't have to do a damn thing. I just have to take care of me and mine and my own. That's it. So if you want my vote, you're going to have to win me over. You're going to have to do something to make me happy, or intrigued, or follow more into your steps because, I realize we're connecting better, or you're representing me better. So if you want my vote, earn it, right? And that goes for anybody. And it goes for a libertarian, it goes for a Republican, it goes for a Democrat, it goes for the Green Party, it goes for the Constitutional Party, it goes for anybody, an independent. Not that there really is such thing as an independent. That's something else I think that we'll talk about more one day, but I get really bothered, really, really bothered when I hear like, well, there's two independents in the Senate. No, there's not. Bernie Sanders is not an independent. He's just so far left, he can't even call himself a Democrat because that would be a lie. Right? But he's a Democrat because, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, Democrats have gone, my goodness, I can't stop bumping this microphone. They're moving so far left, they're meeting right up with them, right? So there really is no difference between Bernie Sanders and most of the people on the left anymore. There's some difference. You know, it's almost like some Republicans are becoming more center and actual leftists, and the leftists are becoming so far left, they're becoming socialists. So, you know, it's the whole Overton window thing, right? I want to go on a 20-minute explanation of what that is, but basically, it's a political window and it keeps moving. It can move right, it can move left, it can move whatever, right? But that's the window, and politics moves in that frame with it. So people who are Republican actually, when everyone on the left continues to get left, people on the right happen to get more left, and vice versa. There are swings where people on the left become more centrist, and not conservative, but more centrist. And at that point, usually most Republicans will take more a step to the right. It's just the way it works. I mean, I'm not making it up. It's just the way it happens. So I'm not sad or upset or angry that the second presidential debate got canceled. But I'm not happy about it either, because I would love to actually see a real debate. But again, would we actually even see a real debate? So think about this. So we have this guy, Steve Scully, who is going to be the moderator for the second debate. And there's a lot of controversy around him, right? Like a lot. For a moderator. So this guy works for like C-SPAN mostly. So you think, okay, well, he's very non-committal, and he might be a Democrat or whatever, but he obviously doesn't work for CNN or MSNBC or any of that nonsense. But when you see all the things that he's done, the people he's worked for, the people he's interned for, the posts he's made on Instagram and Twitter or whatever, he's obviously very left, right? And they're now supposedly over the last week, his Twitter got hacked, and he was saying things that he shouldn't be saying, especially as an upcoming moderator, agreeing with Scaramucci, is that his name? Anthony Scaramucci? I think that's how you say his name. That schmuck that worked for literally 38 hours or something for the White House, who was attacking Trump. Yeah. So I guess from that aspect, I'm not upset, because I don't want to see any more division in this country. And if that debate went forward with that moderator, and obviously that moderator would probably act very much in favor of Biden. And if it became obvious at all, things would have just gotten ugly, not only on the stage, but afterwards, and not only on the pundits and the cable shows, but it would have gotten that way just across the board with everybody, right? It would have gotten back down to our level, to people talking like this on the internet versus people talking to each other on Facebook, and it just would have gotten ugly. And it's just not worth it. Not worth it at all. But you know what is worth it? Our happy ending. And of course, it's now time for our edition of Happy Endings. Now, if you weren't with us yesterday, we made an announcement that going forward, at least for a while, I don't plan on doing video happy endings like I've been doing. I know they're fun. I like them, but I keep getting flagged every single time. I mean, I'm not getting community strikes, but I just tired of the emails, tired of the threatening letters telling me that if I continue to do this, blah, blah, blah. So we're just going to be doing happy endings of a different take. And what those are going to be are really going to be more along the lines of, this. Articles, stories, right? Sometimes it'll be pictures. Sometimes maybe it will be a video, but not always, right? And today, again, we're going to have another story. It's a very simple story. This is about a company who projected a smiley face on London's Parliament directly across the river from a hospital. So the kids and people in the hospital can see this big smiley happy face. It says here, an image of a smiley face was projected onto the House of Parliament to spread an uplifting message of positivity during tough times. Any smiley, but especially one that is 27 yards wide, which would make it 81 feet. Quick math, I think. Can go a long way to cheering people up, especially when it's directly across the river from a hospital. So that is actually a very nice, sweet story that someone would do something like that. And I guess there's an emoji day coming that was kind of part of it. So it wasn't like they didn't have any alternative motives, but at least they decided to use it for a good cause. Again, projecting it on Parliament, a place that's kind of ugly, but a smiley face so people in the hospital could actually see it and be cheered up. So there you go. Hope that put a smile on your face. And just so everyone is aware, that brings us to the end of another episode. Now, tomorrow, knock on wood, everything goes well, and my co-host shows up, Mikey. We will have an episode of Talking Sports with Kevin and Mikey, and it'll hopefully be good. Hopefully. Check it out. We go live. about 8 p.m. Central, so that'd be 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. One of these days, I'll get all this stuff right. But yeah, so that's about it for us today. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope you had a good day. Hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow in case we don't see you. And then we will see you all Thursday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. See you then.